Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Jason's Take On. We're really excited to have you here today. And today we are really excited to have a special guest, Prithwi Dasgupta, who is the CEO and founder of SmartCarrot. So we're very excited here. And today we're going to be talking with Prithwi about CS tools and tech of tomorrow and how it will empower CS professionals and scale CS programs. So really an exciting topic, I think, and a lot of interest about what's next in the CS landscape. A lot of things are moving, a lot of things are changing, and I think this is a great chance to go in. Before we go in and get into the topic, Prithvi, do you want to just give a brief introduction to yourself and SmartCarrot and a little bit about your background and what you're doing these days?
Absolutely. Thank you, firstly, Jason, for having me. It's great to always connect with you, and hopefully we'll have a good discussion. Quick background, I'm 22 years in terms of experience in the industry, and I began my career in India and have always been in some sort of a customer-facing role. Mm-hmm. So I'm an engineer by profession, and then I worked in the factory for a bit, building products for customers, and then did my MBA and then went largely into B2B customer management, sales, product management, solutioning, pre-sales, and so on and so forth, and eventually grew up the ladder over the years and was lucky enough to handle a large book of business in my last role as president of the healthcare technology unit of a large services firm. And the learnings of all of these years handling customers in different roles, we used to call it account management, we called it client services, and now we are calling it customer success. We have tried, I'm very happy and proud to represent SmartCarrot in this phase of the industry and where we are seeing all of this head and manage customer success. So we believe we have something which aligns very well to making customer success accessible for the practitioners. And I'm very happy to discuss in general about customer success with you and give some examples of SmartCarrot is also.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you. And I also realized as part of the intro, I got so excited, I completely skipped over my co-host, Jason Noble from sunny London. So Jason, please forgive me.
You forgot me, no worries. Hello, everybody. Excited to be here. I think Prithwi is a really fantastic person to have. We all know SmartCarrot very well, and they're doing really some great things. So I'm not that worried that Jason forgot about me. It happens.
Shameful, I know. So when Prithwi and I have had many conversations over the past year and a half or so, and I'm always excited to hear about where they're taking their platform and tool. And we were chatting the other day about things such as the future of AI in customer success and predictive technology. And Prithwi used the term augmented intelligence as well. And I think these are terms that some people have heard of in buzzword format, but not everyone really knows a lot of detail. So I guess to create some context here, could you actually share a little bit what do we actually mean with these terms and what does this mean for like functionality and what people would expect in any tool that would use these kind of capabilities?
Right. No, it's a good question to start off with. Again, I'll try and simplify it as much as I can to the extent I know. So see, and you'll agree with me, Jason, that this is a complex world of customer success we live in today. And it's complex because there are so many moving elements to it. Customer success as a function is sandwiched between the customer on one side and the organization on the other. Within the organization itself, there is so many different aspects. There is product management involved. There is obviously delivery and development involved. There is support involved. There is sales involved at times, marketing involved, and then financials involved, the hierarchy you need to report to, and so on and so forth, and something similar on the customer side as well. What that means, and all customer success platforms and tools today start off by integrating 4 or 5 other underlying systems exactly for that reason, because you need to create a good view of the customer at the very basic. What that also means, though, that there is an overload of data. Now, there are so many aspects and you're tracking so many things. For the human practitioner, it becomes next to impossible to always be aware of all the moving parts meaningfully together. So that's where technology comes in. The platform helps in assimilating all of that. But where the world is headed to, especially with technologies such as ML and AI, is first you need to make sense of all of these disparate sources of data and learn. So the simple word is learn. How do you learn? Learning means you are gaining insights about your data set. And that is where the technology of ML comes in, machine learning. That's why it's called machine learning. So it just learns and stops there. The AI, which is the artificial intelligence, is one layer above machine learning, a subset over machine learning, which now not only learns, it takes the learnings and actually applies the learning into some meaningful. So it's trying to mimic what a human would do and also applies that knowledge you have learned. So it's a difference between learning and application of learning, which is why it is machine learning and artificial intelligence. It's a simple way to look at it is the difference between intelligence and learning.
Okay.
Now, so tools like Smart Carrot, for example, already have that. What we are trying to do is now take it to the next level and empower the practitioner by helping them learn more about their customers, helping them learn more about the disparate moving parts their customers and portfolios have. And as we go up that ladder, when you hit the true AI, as I see it, then you have to be able to apply that learning into meaningful work to meet your own objectives and your customers' objectives. So that's, I know, a rough, high-level definition of these complex terms, Jason.
How do you, this is such a fascinating area, and it is, technology is helping more and more. We're seeing lots of organizations trying things around data, big push on customer operations, customer success operations to make that data visible and to get the insights from it. How do you, what are some of the key things that you guys are doing that differentiate yourselves from existing technology out there today? Because there are a number of players that have tried, but not got as mature as you guys have. So how are you leading this charge when it comes to data, reporting, predictive intelligence, and what things are you seeing really working for you guys that are making a big difference with Smart Carrot?
Yeah, and there are quite a few things, Jason. Again, a very good question. So I think, and this is my view and the Smart Carrot's view thereof, the first thing is not to make it more complex than it actually already is right now. So all of the technology is there, the algorithms are there, and people can build algorithms as much as they want. So one of the things which has been working for us significantly is we have the whole concept comprehensive but simple. And we have taken the effort to simplify the same views, the same sort of data sets, but you don't need to see everything at every point of time, right? You don't need 100 columns and 50 columns and 200 rows of data to overload you. You need to see what impacts your day-to-day in terms of your managing. And over time, and I'm not saying we are completely there yet, because no one will ever be there completely. You'll constantly be in this cycle of evolving what that view needs to do. But what we have done well so far is started off by keeping the views available and simple, and reaching out through multiple channels, even through the practitioner. So do you need to log on to the platform, as a simple example, for you to know that a key stakeholder in an account of yours has left? No, you can actually receive a text and say, okay, this is a very simple example. Now that if you stretch ahead, so it's simple, but it's difficult to pull off at the back end, trying to keep things simple for the practitioner. But that's something which sets us apart significantly. The second piece is right from the beginning, we are a single architecture platform. So the aspects of the customer outreach, the aspects of the customer sentiment management, the aspects of actually logging a touch point and so on and so forth are all inbuilt. The aspect of capturing usage data, product usage data. A lot of our competitors and a lot of the other platforms actually have all of those, but then they integrate with third-party systems, or they have acquired a different tool altogether. So it's still bolted on, and at times it is as good as a different integration. So when you look at how do you actually impact an outcome, the ability to capture the data and the intelligence and to take action has to be seamless. And the moment you have multiple siloed systems talking to each other, this simple concept breaks, or it takes more time, and it's not as efficient as you'd imagine. So it's Smart Carrot being an integrated system that allows us the ability to connect the intelligence to the actions and the automation very seamlessly. And the overall concept is keep it simple. So I think those two are the biggest differentiators we have.
That's great. And I think this is going to be such an impact over the years. And I imagine evolving technologies like this doesn't happen overnight. You have to test it and prove it and make sure that you're actually getting the results, things that you want. Let me ask you though, when you're looking forward to 5 years down the road, 10 years, whatever the right time frame may be, how do you see things like AI and predictive technology really impacting customer success operations? And what does this mean for the day-to-day CSMs? Will they need different skill sets? Will they spend their time differently? Will they just be better able to handle a larger book of business? What do you see are the biggest impacts there?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the biggest impact for the practitioner across the hierarchy in customer success would be really efficiency and they themselves being successful. Actually, even when I look at our own customer success team, we cannot have successful customers and successful implementations without having successful customer success managers in our own organizations. How do you make the team successful? And that's the biggest impact I see technologies such as AI and ML and automation impact. The first impact is to make your life easier so that you can either handle more accounts, or even in your existing accounts, you are more successful. Your, whatever KPIs you are being measured on and incentivized on, you are able to hit more consistently. So you then start trusting the technology to actually do a fair bit of work on your behalf in terms of replacing you. So the human cannot be replaced in a customer situation, is my opinion, which is why I use the term augmented intelligence the other day, Jason, that the whole concept of intelligence is actually to help the practitioner do their jobs better. So that is the biggest impact. You meet your numbers, and then your customer is happy, and then your organization is happy, and then we live in a beautiful ecosystem. So that's the impact we are trying to look at.
Wow. I think that's something that we've spoken about before, isn't it, Jace? This idea of we talk about tech-enabled approach, and it is by enabled. It's not tech touch. It's not just technology, but you need the human in there. And this is what customers want from customer success. There is still a human-to-human relationship about that trust. And I think it's so important. And I think one of the benefits we're going to see, and I'd like to ask you about this, is when it comes to scaling and growing customer success, and the impact of it is the real benefits of this. So how do you see the likes of AI and machine learning impacting the ability of scaling for customer success? What specific things do you think need to change or will change?
Yeah, so I think, look, it's a very good question. And, we could look at it two different ways. One is there a need to change what you are doing right now? So even today, without technology, you are still able to, let's say, segment your customers into high value, high touch customers and, let's say, low value tech touch customers. Very common. Nothing stops you from continuing on that own route, that same route. But how efficient are you in either of these? So let's take even high touch customers, wherein you are having the significant impact of human touch and human relationship. Can your interactions, human to human interactions with the customer, get better? Yes, absolutely. And how? Because then the technology and the intelligence actually enables you to know more, to know in advance, and be more proactive than being reactive. Today, you are probably interacting with the customer more often than not once things go south. With technology enablement, you could do the same prior to things going south so that you actually stop it from declining. So that is the impact even in a human-to-human interaction, that you know more, you know faster, you are more prepared. And then you have the automation to also help you, not only in your own internal workflows, but also at times maybe with customer workflows. So nothing needs to change materially. However, having said that, should you need it to change, technology will eventually evolve in 4 or 5 years from now, wherein a fair bit of customer interaction you can pull off with technology to human also. What that means for you is it's not that your job is going away, it's just that you can, to your question of scale, just handle more customers, because where human interaction is not required, you can actually get by with the machine interacting on your behalf.
We've a success chain. We've been working with a client, really facilitating a variety of executive roundtables. One thing that keeps coming out of this is that many of the customer success leaders we're talking to are finding that their customers don't always want the hands-on touch with a CSM. They want to have their problem solved at the right time, on demand, with the least amount of effort possible. And they don't want to be bothered with a lot of stuff that may not add a lot of value to them. So I'm wondering, as you think about the future of this tech and AI and predictive churn or predictive analytics and all this good stuff, what do you see as the biggest impacts for the customers, and how will that change their expectations of what a CSM should be doing?
Yeah, and I think the expectation is the same of efficiency and speed and ease of interaction. It's just flipped the other way around. That and you said it, Jason, that not necessarily every customer wants a human interaction all the time. They want their problem to be solved, and if there is a machine helping solve it, they don't mind human to machine interaction also, as long as it's solves it. So what the expectation from the customer is that now that these technologies are available, is the efficiency getting better when I look at my vendors? If I've purchased a product or a service, over time, I'm expecting better support, better results, better interactions, and better value because of all of these underlying technologies being available. So that's absolutely going to be there. You cannot have the excuse, hey, I'm sorry, customer, I didn't know. That is no longer an excuse.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a challenge for a lot of organizations when that excuse goes away. But I think it's a good sign moving forward as well, too.
Absolutely.
What do you see as some of the biggest risks from this big shift in technology, particularly when you look at things like AI? And are there some big risks and challenges that we need to think about when it comes to customer success and our interactions with customers? I think there's a real big debate we could have about kind of technology and the human interaction, but what do you see as some of the potential risks that customers and organizations need to be aware of?
Yeah, I think the one very important risk element is our understanding and knowledge of these technologies and what they can impact itself. There are too many people in the industry right now with very subliminal or very basic knowledge talking about and actually trying to implement these technologies. And that is the biggest risk you can have. So first thing is to understand what it is, what are its boundaries, what it can pull off, what it can't pull off. Like everything else, this is not a magic wand. In fact, it might actually take more time to show you value than any other things because it needs time to optimize itself over multiple iterations. That's how it learns. That's the basic premise of this. So you have the data. I've seen a lot of discussions in forums, etc., that AI will not work because there is not enough data. No, I completely disagree. There is enough and more amounts of data and data sets, and it increases every day. It is about our understanding of how to leverage that data and give it time, implement it the right way, and optimize and learn over time. Because what it will throw up to you, and you should also be prepared to that some skeletons will come out of the closet once you implement such technologies. So you'll find some data which you may not like, and your baby may not be the most beautiful one. That's what the data will show you. But then the way to go forward is to accept that and then leverage that learning to optimize whatever it shows up as improvement areas over time. And that's the way, and that's the other risk. I expect a lot of pushback, Jason, that, hey, no, this is not good. Not many people are happy with skeletons coming out.
With the data piece too, I'm always reminded of the whole garbage in, garbage out mentality. And there's a ton of data available, but machine learning may be able to correct for some of this. To what degree is data quality going to be an issue? And is it less around transactional data that may be generated and stored directly by systems versus data entered and maintained by end users and sales folks and CSMs and things like that? How do you see all of the potential data quality issues impacting this?
No, absolutely. The whole concept that as we have evolved into analytics, big data and stuff like that. So there's a huge raging debate about data quality, and that is absolutely at the hygiene level. If you don't have good quality data, all of this fall flat. That's the lowest level of the pyramid. Without that, you can't build this structure at all. I think that's a bare minimum hygiene expectation that your data is right. You made a very important point, and we are seeing this also ourselves. So as an example, in Smart Carrot today, you have bare minimum amount of data entry. So we are probably a 5-10% data entry platform, and everything else is really assimilated. I'll give you an example. So when you're looking at mapping a customer journey, for example, and what a customer has done on your product and where they have been to and what are they accessing your sticky features or not, you are capturing the data right from the point of source, and that is the source of data. So there is no chance that there is no human intervention of entering that data in. So data like that will always be much more valuable than a CSM adding a sentiment, for example, or adding a note separately. Having said that, there is also other aspects of data, like you're having a call with the customer. So you can have the recording of the call. So that's unstructured data, which is there for you. Now the system can, instead of waiting on you to actually put in the notes, hey, this happened on the call, the system can actually, over time, and this is how I expect the technology to evolve, should be able to parse out what is the relevant aspects of that conversation and actually provide you with that data. So again, it is data which is taken right from the source. So there's no issue of the quality. So that is how, by keeping the human data input as low as possible, you avoid the garbage in, garbage out. And this is a common trend, and a lot of systems have been built on the CRM sort of mindset, which is really garbage in, garbage out. Hey, I did this. I'm inputting 15 data sources, and it's as good as the input.
Yep. No, I've worked on a lot of CM projects over the years, and I always hear people complain that I don't want to be a data entry clerk or all of that other, to your point, so much stuff is missing or just the hygiene is completely off. That's always a concern, but it's great to hear that this is evolving.
What do you think one of the as organizations and businesses prepare for this and this change? And I think it's going to affect us with the way we interact with customers, the way we all interact with systems and tools. What are some of the things and changes that we could be doing to prepare for this and to prepare for kind of this transition we're going to go through?
Yes, it's a complex one, but actually it's the other way to look at it. It's fairly simple also, because all of us in our own, personal experiences as a consumer of technology across different businesses we interact with actually are already using a lot of these tools. So when you talk to Siri, when you talk to Google, you are actually already using it. When you are having an Apple Watch, you are already using it. When you are interacting with multiple systems which are giving you data, capturing your data, you are already using it. What you need to do is start thinking, hey, how is this applicable in my business and in my work to my benefit and to the benefit of my customers? That is all there is to it. These are the same things. It's the same element of data being captured, relevant data being captured, correlations being made, learnings happening at a random, rapid scale, and then the insights provided to you so that you can take better decisions as a practitioner. So accepting that and moving on. So I'll use technology when it benefits me as a consumer, but I will, stay away from it because I'm scared it'll take away my job, is something you need not be scared about, because actually it impacts, there will be more jobs created just because of this. You will be able to handle more customers and more business and grow faster in your career. So use technology to your benefit. I think that's one preparation. The other, as I said earlier, is probably about education right now. The next 4-5 years, one has to educate one's team. If you really want to implement technology, I think you need to give it time, and then you need to educate your hierarchy top to bottom.
I'm glad you talked about the timeline too. When do you think a lot of the technologies that you're talking about here, the AI and the machine learning, the predictive stuff, when will they really hit their prime, that they're like, okay, this is fully functional, no longer an emerging technology? Is that a 5-year window, a 10-year window?
Yeah, I think the technology is already there, Jason. So as far as the technology availability and what's possible, all of these are possible today. And then people will start, like Smart Carrot, all the other vendors will also start adopting some aspects of this. The question really is, when is it going to get mainstream adoption? And I think sooner than we think. I am sensing it's really in a 2-year, 1 year, 18 months time frame, we'll start seeing more and more better adoption. We ran a intelligence-based survey beginning of year, and our theme for this year was general intelligence. And I think overwhelmingly, most of those answers are around, we are ready, we just don't know what is available or what can be done. So it boils down to the awareness. So as vendors such as ourselves are able to educate the market more and more on what is possible, I think the adoption will just increase.
Wow, fantastic. Awesome. Jason, do you have anything else you want to throw out here right now? I know we're almost out of time.
Yeah, no, I think this has been this is a fascinating discussion, and I think we could go into any of these specifics, and actually maybe that's worthwhile doing at a later stage. But there's so many different areas, and I'd love to your own roadmap to talk about that, and maybe a couple of months' time to see what you're finding out as this technology starts getting out there, because it is a lot of organizations, if you go back only a couple of years, were struggling with setting up customer success. They've now done that, but they're still struggling with what I call customer operations, which is this whole data piece. And when you look, organizations still have many decentralized, disparate data sets that inevitably require people to go from one source to another, and they're not bringing them together. And even when they do bring them together, what do they do? And as you scale in terms of the number of the customers, that problem grows exponentially. So something like this, what you guys are doing at Smart Carrot, is so exciting and game-changing. And it's something that we're beginning to see a lot of the kind of core CSM platforms try to do something with, but there's a lot of struggling with it, and a lot of struggling. And I'm so excited by where this will be in a couple of years. So in answer to your question, Jason, right now, no other questions, but I am sure in 3 months' time, there'll be so much more. And I'd really like to dive into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And Prithvi, I'm really excited about what you said too about use technology for your advantage, because I think there's such potential here to free up CSMs, the mundane piece. It's not adding a lot of value and it's not fun for them, not growing their career and their skill sets. So I'm excited about to see how this goes. Would love to hear from some CSMs out there who've been using these technologies as quickly as they come in and hear what's working for them and what's the exciting piece. And this is really great stuff that you guys are doing. Really looking forward to seeing it. Since we're almost out of time here, before we go, I want to invite you to do a shameless plug. If you would tell people a little bit more about SmartCarrot, how they can get in touch with you, how they can learn more about this and the other great stuff. Really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing this with everyone else.
But before you do that, you forgot one other thing, Jason.
I did forget. I'm forgetting everything today. So jump in, Jason.
Go ahead, do the plug, and then Jason will ask you one more thing.
No, I think we'll keep it simple again. The best place to learn about us is our website. So please visit smartcarrot.com. I'm available to discuss. I'm happy interacting. This is very exciting times for us. A lot of what's upcoming may or may not be available on the website. As you'd imagine, we are keeping some things under the radar. You'll be able to see as it slowly starts hitting the market, but you'll get a good sense of what we mean by intelligence. You'll get a good sense of our alignment to and our passion in making lives easier for the customer success practitioner. That's what we truly believe in. So whatever you find today on the platform and what you'll find tomorrow is always going to be aligned to three things: making life easy for you, making you successful, and we'll do that through more smart use of technology and intelligence and automation built into that. There is a reason why we are called SmartCarrot. I just hope we live up to it in the next couple of years, and we'll be able to justify that. So I'll keep that simple and stop there, Jason.
Fantastic. We'll obviously have links to that in the show notes below. But the one thing I forgot, and thank you, Mr. Noble, for calling me out on this, is we always like to ask everyone, all of our guests, a bold challenge question. So what one bold action would you like to see CS leaders take today to really embrace emerging technologies and AI technologies to improve their operations? What's the one thing that they could do to really be bold and be aggressive in making this work for them?
Yeah, I think the first thing is for them to actually show value in their own organization and in themselves. Because the moment that happens, there are too many instances I've seen where you expect value, and by value, you show value, you get the budget. You get the necessary approvals, you get the buy-in from what have you. So are you able to show value to your board, to your management team? Are you able to define what value is for the function? Because if you're able to do that, the rest of it fall in place, whether it's technology, whether it's resources, it finally boils down to budget and intent. So that's the one thing I'd expect CS leaders and the community to do. Question themselves on value and be clear on what value they're bringing to the table.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Prithvi, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Prithvi. Really cool conversation.
Wonderful. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.